you could go back a year ago, get your license all over again. And all the people that are just getting into this, watching this interview today, like, what do you wish you knew, or what advice would you give yourself that all the new agents could benefit from?
Don't be afraid of the expireds. Don't be afraid of the for sale by owners. Just do it. Call them. You're going to suck. You're going to suck absolutely terribly. You're going to get demolished on the phones, especially with expireds. But if you keep at it, you're going to get good, and you're going to start setting appointments, and you're going to wonder why in the world you didn't do this sooner. Just keep at it. You're only going to get better.
All right. So, Harry, before we jump into kind of unpacking your story, give the audience some context. Where do you sell real estate, and how long have you actually been in the business?
So let's see, been in the business since last March, sell real estate in the Sacramento area. I'm actually from a small town north of Sacramento called Yuba City, but I do Sacramento, I do the Bay Area, a lot of absentee owners out there, so always good. Pretty much anywhere from the Bay Area to Sacramento is my spot.
Yeah, so you're in a high price point, right? Like, what's the average price point in Sacramento?
It's sitting at about $650, give or take.
That's what I thought. So you've been in it almost about a year, is that right?
Yep, just about a year next month.
Awesome. So how was your first year? I mean, let's talk about that, because really that's where I think most people struggle. The statistic changes every day, but 80-90% can't get through that first 12 months. Unpack your first year for us.
So first year I started the I hate to say, but the Ricky Cruz method.
Sure.
I was kind of data farming and then doing a newsletter and the whole 9 yards. Worked well. It's kind of a good nurture tool, I guess. But needed something a lot more concrete. I'm very kind of analytical and I love the details. And so when I stumbled across your content and what you do, I'm like, dude, this guy has it down to like a science. Okay. So then it started, calling some absentee owners, mostly was still afraid of the FSBO, still afraid of the expireds. And so mostly focused hard on absentee owners my first year, and didn't have much success until I want to say 3 months into that.
Yeah.
So around March is when I started to pounding the phones, really get those absentee owners going. And then started to, I guess the harvest came about 3 months later when I got three listings in 1 month. And I was like, holy shit.
That's
like,
amazing.
What do I do now, right?
And that's what I tell everybody. It takes 90 days. Like, if you could just pay the price for 90 days, which is not in the grand scheme of someone's career, it isn't that long, but when you're in it, it feels like an eternity.
It feels like forever, man.
Feels like forever. So let's pause there for just a second. So that first 90 days, you're prospecting, you're building a pipeline. Your skills probably aren't where they are today. So your activity levels had to be very high as your skills were very low, because you had to build a pipeline. Walk us through like what that was like and how you pushed through that, how you kept going.
Yeah. So I think to, I guess, give some credit over to the previous method I was using, it did give me a ton of, I guess, batting practice.
Right.
So I got more comfortable over the phone than I normally would have before transitioning over to a tougher lead source like absentee owners, where they're a little bit more targeted. And so it was difficult to say the least. I would definitely run away from the first no. Like, I would get a no and be like, shit, gotta get out of there.
Yep.
But as time went on, it got a bit better. It got a little bit smoother. I would say I didn't really get very, very comfortable with the absentee owner niche until maybe summerish.
Okay.
So, and even at that point, I was still kind of just touching them a little bit and running away, touching them a little bit and running away. And I would say I didn't get more solid and comfortable over the phone until just I bit the bullet and started going harder. Those 40 contact days. That's really what turned the trick there.
The learning is in the doing, people, right? I mean,
Yep.
So let me give the audience some context, right? So you're talking about before you were circle prospecting just neighborhoods, Yep.
So
did you have any success with that at all? Were you able to generate any listings or leads or anything?
Yeah. Good question. My first listing ever was actually from a circle prospect from forever ago. And
sure.
Actually, that's actually a funny story. So I called her home phone, and then she basically disconnected her line. And so she's gone, right? So I just sent her a letter, put my number in there. It was sloppy, shitty handwriting. Just wrote in there, sent that over. She called me back, and then I got the appointment that way. So that was my first, I guess, listing generated from circle prospecting. But outside of that, that was about all she wrote there.
Got
And
it.
yeah,
So now, you're essentially you're taking your prospecting efforts and you're going more niche. You're going more specific because I think, well, obviously you'd agree, like if you're going to spend the time, energy, and effort picking up the phone, prospecting every day, you want to get the most you can from that experience. And so absentee owners, for anybody that's listening, is a lead source massive in California, because I mean, how many is on your list that you're calling? Tens of thousands?
tens of thousands.
Tens of thousands. So you'll never run out. So it has lower competition. These are people that have one or two rental properties, or they inherited a property. So when you're calling this group of people, one, let's start at the top of the funnel. Are you finding that the pickup rates are higher calling cell phones versus landlines from a circle prospecting perspective?
Yep, across the board. Yep.
All right. So on average, how long are you prospecting daily right now?
Right now, I would say when the list is fresh, at least what I've noticed is the rates are way, way better. Usually about 8 to 12, 8 to 11:30, even I can pick up 40 contacts and good to go. Lately, the list I'm running now, it's my second run through. And so rates are much slower. It's taking me from about 8 to 1 o'clock some days, 8 to 12, 8 to 12:30. And
Got it.
and on appointment days, I cut that down to, instead of 40 contacts, like 20 or 30, just so I have time to, prep and get ready to go and all that.
Love it. I love it. So your goal is 40 contacts a day, right?
Correct.
Phenomenal number. I mean, I talked to, as you can imagine, so many people in our business. Yep. I mean, they're not making 40 contacts a month. Mm-hmm. They're not making 40 contacts. It takes them a long time, and the thing that pains me so much, Harry, is like, it's a simple formula: activity times skill equals your success. How did you get to the point where you said to yourself, 40 contacts? Because most agents are going to hear that. I'm like, 40 contacts? Yeah. Is that 40 calls? No, people. We're talking about 40 conversations. So are you calling on a triple line?
Yep. So my schedule pretty much looks like, I actually got it posted right in front of me, but more or less it's the new fresh expireds, fresh for sub owners, fresh for rent by owners, redial the expireds for sub owners. And
beautiful. You're running the play to a T.
Running it play to the T. Yep. And you know what's funny? I only started running that play to the T starting in January, where I would actually start to call expireds, call for sub owners. And dude, it's a different ball game.
Yeah.
Calling them. And so last week I set 7 appointments, and I'm like absolutely overwhelmed trying to prep for these appointments, get ready. And I haven't even time to put your new listing presentation together.
It's going to help you a lot, dude. It's going to help you a lot.
Yeah, I've been seeing in the group, a lot of folks been loving that. So excited to get my hands on that.
So you set 7 appointments last week?
Last week, yep. That's my month's goal in a week. And I was like, holy shit. And it was a short week too. I got back from vacation on Monday, didn't prospect that day. So from Tuesday to Friday, 7 appointments.
Unbelievable. So where did those come from? Just because I can't skip over that. If I do, Harry, everyone's like, why didn't you ask him about that?
Yeah, that was expireds. That was all expireds, canceled, withdrawals. I got a windfall of those last week and just hammered away. Follow the playbook to the T. Call them while they're fresh. Call someone else, come back, call them, text them, and do whatever you can to get a hold of them.
So I love it. Right. So call 2 or 3 times in your morning call block, then text them. There's a lot of other things too, but so you're doing 40 contacts a day. You made the decision, like, you need a lot of activity to build a massive pipeline. I see all the CMAs behind you. I mean, the byproduct of all that activity is you're going on a lot of appointments. So your goal is 7 appointments per month, typically. Is that right?
Typically 7 to 8. Yep.
I mean, you've got the work ethic. And then traditionally, or generally speaking, what does that turn into as far as contracts signed or listings taken?
So this is actually my first week where I've had that level of success, because I'm coming from a background of mostly absentee owners where I would generate these
nurtures
long-term opportunities, and where the appointment would come much, much later through follow-up. And by the time you get the appointment, it's kind of like a come list me.
That's right.
Type of deal. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of a novice going into the whole like listing presentation type deal. So after these 7, I went on one yesterday. Sounded pretty good. Didn't get it on the first like walkthrough while I was
Sure.
there, but I guess he's interviewing multiple agents, and trust me, I used the objection handler there as well. But so hopefully, trial and error, I'll get my skills honed down to where I'm actually able to execute on these appointments as well, and actually get the contract day one, which is the goal.
Yeah. So that's great because you have both things happening for you. You're securing your future with absentee owners, building a seller lead database, and you're going out for now business, which are for sale by owners and expired listings. So you're getting the best of both worlds. And there's pros and cons to each of those things, right? So, so you're going back to kind of the daily schedule. Sure. You start at 8 and then you stop dialing at about 11:30 or noon. Is that right?
Correct. Yep.
Got it. Yep. Then what happens for the rest of the day?
Rest of the day, I'll typically have a slew of follow-up calls to get through. So I will just hunker down, knock out the follow-up calls, do a lunch, depending on what's going on. But most days I'll just pop out my, finish the follow-up calls for the day, then head over and do my admin work. This guy's got an appointment, put him here, this, that, the other, the admin work for the day. And then after that's all completed, then it's appointment time.
I love it. And you're doing this all by yourself. Like you don't have an assistant in your business or anything right now, correct?
No.
Yeah, I love it. So because there's a lot of agents like I don't have time to do 40, 50 contacts a day, but that morning block, tell us how important that is to you. And are you able to block out the world and just absolutely focus on yourself for that morning and walk us through what you're doing there?
Yeah. So it all starts, I get up around 5 or 6. It all starts kind of there where I'll do, I'm running your plate pretty much to the T, doing my cardio, doing my cold shower, doing my intermittent fasting. And my reading, I do some reading as well, just to kind of get the brain ready to rock, ready to roll. And come 8 o'clock, there's nothing scheduled. Even if there's a family event, there's this, that, or the other, it's not happening. And everybody at this point in my career, everybody in my family knows, like, you can't, because I work from home. They're like, well, you can't go into that room. It's not happening. You need to chewed out.
Yep. I mean, that's how it has to be, right? I mean, that time is so important to your family and your future. It has to be that way. Just like if we were brain surgeons, there's not kids and family members jumping into our surgery. They can accept that. Yeah. This is our brain surgery. Like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, that morning is us in surgery doing our highest level work. This is where we're generating all of our income. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So it's phenomenal. So most of your appointments or the seller leads, they're probably coming through follow-up, right? And so walk us through the importance of follow-up and some of the systems you put in place to stay top of mind, because it's all about conversion, right? Like all the leads are easy to get. It's all about generating the opportunity, putting them in a pipeline, following up, and setting the appointment. So what are you doing around follow-up?
Yeah, good question. I mean, to illustrate, I've got an appointment here, another Zoom kind of presentation at 4:30. This is an absentee owner who I talked to literally like last summer. And so what I've been doing to keep in touch with him and all these other kind of long-term nurture opportunities is I still do the weekly newsletter. I kind of just transition that because I already had it built out.
Absolutely.
I just transition that to pop the folks into their kind of like a drip campaign weekly.
Right.
And then in addition, I'll do a monthly mailer. They get that mailbox power campaign, the 12, the 1 year out nurture.
Yep.
They'll get that. And they'll get a call about half the time they told me to call. And another thing I've been implementing recently is asking them when they want to hear back from me versus like just kind of guessing like, okay, Bill said this time, I'm going to call him here, and then Bill doesn't know who the hell you are when you call him. So
I love it.
Helped me out a lot, but basically hitting them at least 4 times a month.
Yeah.
Give or take.
Yeah. And it's what you have to do to earn the appointment long-term. So what, how long have we been working together now?
Not long. I want to say last December or November is when I jumped in. Yeah.
All right, cool. So were you always this disciplined and structured and focused, or what changed in your mind?
I've always been very kind of like structured. I'm very like analytical, but kind of expressive-y as well.
Sure.
And so that's kind of led me to realize like X, Y, and Z need to happen. If they don't happen, you're not going to get to where you need to go.
Yeah.
And that fear of not getting where I want to go is what's motivating me to, do what I got to do daily. So I've kind of been this way all my life. And so after looking at real estate, looking at what other folks are doing, like they're making calls, they're doing X amount of calls. That's all you got to do to make it. And so what mostly shifted after joining your program is, dude, you're doing all this effort and this activity. Let's point you in the right direction to make sure it's being your effort is as efficient as possible. And that's
100%.
pretty much what's happened after joining.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And so what is your goal? Like, what's your 2022 goal?
250K GCI.
I love it. I love it. And are you on track for the goal right now?
Well, appointment wise, yes. I need 8 appointments.
Okay.
Just set my 8th one today, actually.
Nice.
For Thursday. So we're on track appointment wise. Now it's just a matter of converting those appointments. And yeah, right now I'm sitting pretty light listing wise. I've only got one going right now. It's my biggest listing ever, but got it under contract right now. So
congrats.
That's thank you. Hopefully this one closes out pretty soon here. It'd be a good one.
Yeah.
But that's another absentee owner, by the way. Called them in like December, set the appointment, boom. That was the fastest conversion absentee probably ever.
Yeah. So I'm curious though, like going back to the absentees,
sure.
If you have, so you're able to bang out 40 conversations, typically on the Mojo triple dialer in roughly, I'm going back to what you said, but roughly 3 hours or so. Is that right? Mm-hmm. So about 12 contacts an hour. Of the 40 conversations, how many of those turn into a seller lead that goes into the database of the 40?
Of the 40, I'll probably pick up about 1 or 2. So how I kind of do it is I'll call a lead somebody that's got, obviously fitting the 5 criteria, yep. But also somebody that's already got plans. So I call them. They're like, yep, Harry, I am selling 3 months from now. You can keep in touch to earn the business. All is well. That's what I would call a lead. There's also folks that I would call just like a CMA request. Like, yeah, I'm kind of curious, work up a CMA, let's see what we got. I won't kind of classify those as a lead until I follow up in that second conversation to give me some sort of timeline. And I've got another definition called like a soft lead. Sure. It's just somebody that says, yeah, I'll sell if this happens. Like I'll sell if my daughter who lives in the property moves out, and then I'll just do some weird campaign for them. But the only people I'm calling leads are like the folks with the timeline, hard set, definite. And we'll pick up about pretty slim on those recently. Probably get one of those every 2 or 3 days, to be honest.
Okay.
But those CMA requests and those kind of soft lead categories are at least 3 or 4 of them per like dial session.
I mean, that's incredible. I mean, because the thing is, like, you're going to wake up, like if you keep doing what you're doing, this is how I grew my business, how every top producer does it. Mm-hmm. You keep doing 40 contacts a day, right? You don't change anything. You don't work any harder at all. Mm-hmm. And you fast forward, and I see this, like I've seen this for over a decade. You fast forward a year or 2 or 3, and the compound effect, a beautiful thing happens, mm-hmm. and all these start to convert, and you just keep making 40 contacts. Here's what's going to happen. Mark my words. A year from now, of the 40, 50% of the conversations are had in the database. People that already know, like, trust, and respect you because you already did the hard work. You already got them in the top of the funnel. And now half of your work, half of your conversations are spent in the middle of your funnel where it's very profitable. And this is the thing a new agent doesn't understand. They want to get into those conversations right away without paying the price first. So you're just laying this foundation in 2022. Like the business will explode next year from all of these seller nurtures. And I know you know that, right?
Yep. That was I was doing a lot of like kind of self-development, personal development type of reading before hopping into real estate. And so I was going into it with that mindset where it's like, okay, I know that I've got to build a pipeline. I know that it's going to take time and I got to pay the price every day, regardless of if I'm getting paid that day or the next day or a year from now. Right.
I mean, that's just a great mindset that you have. And it's the reason why you're going to be a top producer. Like when I have you back on the podcast a year from now, like especially in your market, like you get to 500, 700, $1 million income, no problem, because of the work ethic. And that's going to be really, really exciting because before, I mean, I don't know what kind of income you're trying to replace, but or what lifestyle you're trying to create. But, I have no doubt that you can get to a 7-figure income in this business. Is that what you see for yourself?
100%. I want to be in a position where I've got, this Houses by Harry, this company just built out, and it's just this machine that's generating income and providing jobs. And that's ultimately where I want to end up in my
That's phenomenal.
10-year vision letter that I built out when joining the program.
Yeah, dude, that's so cool. That's so cool. So last question, I know you got 7 appointments to attend to. If, for all the new agents that might watch this, Harry, right? So like, you could go back a year ago, get your license all over again. And all the people that are just getting into this, watching this interview today, like, what do you wish you knew, or what advice would you give yourself that all the new agents could benefit from?
Yeah, I would say my biggest piece of advice is don't be afraid of the expireds. Don't be afraid of the for sale by owners. Just do it. Call them. You're going to suck. You're going to suck absolutely terribly. You're going to get demolished on the phones, especially with expireds. But if you keep at it, you're going to get good, and you're going to start setting appointments, and you're going to wonder why in the world you didn't do this sooner, which is the position I'm in right now. I'm like, dude, what in the world? It's like I'm having bottom of funnel conversations on the first call.
I know.
I'm like, what in the world is happening? And so very cool. I would highly recommend you guys call expireds, call FSBOs, and just keep at it. You're only going to get better, right?
Yeah, I love it. It's great advice, and it's just the reality. And until you do it, that you've heard me say it 1,000 times, but like the learning's in the doing, it's just like working out for the first time. You're not gonna be able to move for a week. You're so sore, but now you can work out every day and not even feel it, and prospecting is the exact same thing. So dude, thank you for coming on the podcast and pouring back in the industry. You're going to inspire a lot of people. And I appreciate you doing this. Best of luck in 2022. I'm sure I'll see you in our coaching calls, but I want to really thank you for jumping on today with me.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure. One of my 2022 goals, believe it or not.
I love it.
Pretty cool.
I know. And when I heard that, I was like, you earned it. And let's have you back on the podcast, at the end of the year, kind of recap everything you've built. I think that'll be a lot of fun. So best of luck this week. Stay focused. I know you're committed to the goal, and I'm sure we'll talk to you soon, Harry. Thanks so much.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Talk to you soon, brother.
Take care.
Bye-bye.